Hello ladies and gentlemen, I'm Matthew for Stop Drop Game, and this is episode 2 of the Turmoil playthrough. So if you haven't seen episode 1 yet, there's going to be a link down in the doobly-doo to the video for that. I'll also put a link up here on the screen somewhere, just so you'll be able to track that down and obviously have a look at that. Go back and watch that first before you watch this video, purely because that's got a lot of the prelude to the information of how the general game runs. Basically, from this point forwards, it's just mainly going to be standard gameplay that I'm going to go through and try and win this game that I've got going on at the moment. So, like I said, I'll leave a description in the doobly-doo. There'll be a link up, like an annotation up here on the screen that you can click on to go and check that out as well. So go watch that first and then come back to this one. Okay, so when we left off last, let's have a look here. When we left off last, we had just finished a round that was fairly profitable for us. We went through and made a decent sum of money off of the previous plot of land that we had up here. So I'm playing as Joshua, so I mined the yellow location. So we made a decent amount of money, and which was fairly good for us, considering I had to take out a loan from the bank previous turn for 5,000. So I'm now sitting fairly pretty. And I'm in a good stead to go through and start off the next season. So we're going to go and start looking at this land option. Now, ideally, I would like to get one of these up in the top, preferably this one. I mean, it's surrounded by 42s, so you know, hopefully it's going to be in that low 40s range. Even if it does dip down to sort of 38, 39, I'm still going to be able to make a fairly decent profit off of it. But we're going to go through and have a look and see what's going to happen as far as the other people. Now I'm first in line, so I get to bid first. So I'm going to bid for here. We'll see what these guys do. So now, as explained in the previous episode, they can actually bid higher for the location that we've got. So I'm spending 4,000 on that. So I'm not too upset by that. That's fairly reasonable. I mean, later on in the game you can spend up to 10 grand on different plots, but for now that's okay. So now I'm going to come into the saloon, get this from Ono for 94 for right ink. That's basically going to allow me to continue to sell constantly throughout the season without really having to worry too much about the price of oil dipping down too low. Now, last season I did actually have a bit of an issue with running out of... I had a bit of a spillage issue in not having enough horses to transport everything. Now, what I could do, it's going to cost me 15,000 to upgrade my horses. I've only got 10. And it's also going to cost me 2 grand to go and start mining. So I could borrow 7 grand. If I borrow 7 grand, I'm probably going to end up having to pay back, say, about 9 to 10 grand. But I'm going to then have that permanently upgraded. And we do have a good plot of land selected out. So plus I've got it set up so that I've got that minimum of 94 cents for the sale of my oil. Do I want to do it? You know what? I'm gonna take the leap. I'm gonna do it. So okay, so I'm gonna be paying back 34% of the loan. So that's I'm gonna need to make a fairly decent profit to be able to get this squared away, but I reckon I can do it. So okay, let's cover those startup costs and let's dive in. Okay, so now I have a maximum of 25 wagons, which is going to put me in a much better position. Now, Right Ink is only going to ever dip down to 94 as a minimum, which is great. I tend to anything above 90 I will sell at, so that's going to have me at least somewhere that I can constantly sell throughout the entire season, and hopefully make a decent amount of profit. Now, I'm really going to do some aggressive searching for the oil to get started. Okay, so we've got 4 different sets of oil that have been located. I'm just gonna see if the moles located anything lower. So they haven't located anything low down here. So these should all be in the higher up areas. So let's put one central here and do a nice shallow setup. Okay, so we've got that there. So let's buy these and get this oil starting to transport. So I really want to try and pump out as much of this as I can. Now, I'm always forgetting to do that. Always need to make sure that you have as many actually transporting oil as possible, particularly while the price in oil is looking so valuable for me. Okay, so they're going to keep pumping that out. Now that's draining fairly quickly, so it wouldn't surprise me if that is only a little one that sort of covers around that little area there. So I'm going to want to set up a second one fairly quickly, which I'm going to do over here. So get them to keep selling. Okay. Now let's see if we can find this. Where is it? There we go. Now I'm not entirely sure how large that is, but I'm going to drop a couple of moles. Now let's switch these over to left ink because they're actually selling for more. Okay, so that looks like it's got a fairly reasonable size. I can just see the very bottom of that over there. And we've got one over here which looks like it may possibly be a little one, but that's alright. We'll set that one up going as well. So we'll keep an eye on this. So that's dropped down again. So we'll bring them back over to Right Ink. Really focus on getting that moving as quickly as possible. Now we'll upgrade these as well. We've got enough wagons to actually keep on top of that this time. Last episode I only had 15 and I ran out. So now I've got 25 up and running. Now the oil for that guy, I can just see there's a tip there. Now, there's actually one all the way over here as well, so I'm not sure if that is all one giant thing of oil. It's quite possible, but what I'm going to do is dig down about here, see what we can get out of that. Now these 2 other ones have actually run out, so I'm going to drop down a couple more dowsers, just check this upper area, and I'm just going to span 4 or 5 moles down here as well, just so that we can try and really focus in on all that oil as soon as possible. Okay, now this is actually split between 2, so that one, so I'll bring that up over there. Okay, so it looks like we do have a couple of really big plots, well, a couple of plots floating around here. So I'm going to drop one down to there, see if I can find any more oil located around here as well. So it doesn't look like there's much over this side, but over here it's got plenty. So I'm going to really want to buy the branching upgrade fairly soon, purely because it's situations like this where I've had to build another oil rig to be able to actually go through and mine the oil out of that location, which ultimately cost me more money. Ideally, you'd like to avoid spending money unnecessarily on things like oil rigs. You know, in the future, I'll probably only be setting up maybe 3, you know, sometimes only even only 2 oil rigs, just to go through and try and get that set up. Okay, now the moles have discovered another one down here, and that's the great advantage of the moles, is the dowsers their scan only stops here, so they would miss all this kind of stuff. Again, that's why I really enjoy using the moles to get down to that deep oil. It really really lets you sort of hit those jackpots. Sometimes it's really advantageous to grab all that kind of stuff and grab those upgrades. I tend to upgrade the moles sooner than the dowsers, because they go from unlocking 6 to 9 to 12. So with the cost of 2 upgrades, it basically doubles their capacity to be able to search. Now this does look like one giant thing of oil, so I'm really just going to go and burrow into that as much as I can. Now I want to try and drain all this as much as possible, because I'm pretty sure that I've found all the oil. If I don't find any more, I'm actually going to dig this down and around as well. Really focus on pulling as much oil out of that as quickly as I can, trying to get the season over and done with, and that way I'll actually be able to end the season early and try and make a little bit extra profit just by the fact that I'm ending the season early and I've got all the oil out of the ground. So it looks like we're really powering through this at the moment. So again, we're up at the 20,000 now. Nearly half of that is going to go. Okay, so that's dried out. So we'll let these guys go and finish selling. Come on, guys. So now I'm actually going to finish early, and I missed one. But you can see how as you unlock more, it does like you unlock more upgrades. You unlock the moles abilities and that kind of stuff. It does allow you to really find those more. So we haven't done too badly. I had quite a bit of spending. It cost me about 9 grand to pay that loan that I had, but that's okay because I actually used that to upgrade my my wagons, so I didn't have any oil spillage this round. So that's perfectly fine, and I still made more profit than anybody else. So that's actually worked out really well for us. So now we're going to go through and do the next auction. So yeah, that up there was 42, so that actually did us quite well. Now I'm second in the auction this time. Now we're sort of looking around in this area. We've got 2 rounds left here, so now we're sort of starting to drop down. So the oil's into the mid 30s, so it's still not too bad, but there's less profit to be made. So it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. Hopefully I can pick up a fairly decent plot of land. No doubt one of these guys will try and pick one off. Oh, they didn't. Okay, well that's turned out to be an advantage for us because we're next to 37 and 36. So this maybe be 35, 34 possibly. Hopefully it won't be anything lower than that, but it should give us something to work with. So Blanche has just bought the mole upgrade. Now you can actually keep track of the upgrades that your rivals have picked up just by clicking on any one of the names up the top. It'll actually open up all these, so it lets you know what sort of upgrades they have, and it'll give you sort of an idea of what sort of potential earnings they'll make in the future. So Daisy's upgraded the width of hers, so she's pumping out quicker oil. I mean, Ricardo hasn't purchased any upgrades, so I mean, he's actually making less income per round, more than likely, which is why he's got that money sitting there. But we've all made purchases and upgrades, so even though we've got lower money at the moment, we're generating more income per round. So well, I at least know that I am. So it's going to be interesting to see, if and when Ricardo does decide to upgrade, and how that all plays out. I'm going to have a look here and see. Okay, so Ono for Riot Inc. is offering over $1.03 in the coming year for 10,000. So, well, 9,900. So look, I don't have any bank loans to pay back. this round I haven't had to worry about that. I'm still going to be able to afford the dig. I didn't have any issues as far as spillage or anything last round, so you know what? I'm gonna get that. So I reckon I can make a tidy profit off of this. I reckon I could probably get between 25 to 30,000 by the end of the round, and that'll put me in a good position to be able to go through and actually purchase an upgrade, hopefully for another one of my things up here, whether I upgrade the wagons or whatever the case may be. So again, 4 dowsers up the top, the moles down the bottom. So we've already hit some oil over there. So this is probably indicating this one down here. It looks like there's 2 different ones over there. So we've got a bit of oil floating around. So I'm gonna start down here purely because I know where that one is already. We'll get this started and squared away. Get these going over. Okay, so it looks like there's actually an oil in there, which might be what that one was referring to. Little bit of an inconvenience. Now this is where the upgrade for the branches would come in really handy, because at the moment I've reached my branch limit. When I do the upgrade for the branch limit, that'll actually let me have 3 different joints coming off. So for example, this one down here I could branch off twice, and there'd be 3 pipes going into that joint in total. So stuff like that would really help me sort of minimize the cost that I'm going to have to spend as far as setting up rigs. But for now it's okay. It's sort of to be expected when you're initially setting up. There's not a lot you can do in regards to that sometimes. That's okay. Let's go through and settle this up and start to try and generate as much income as possible. So now I'm gonna drop a couple of moles down. Okay, so we've managed to find that one. Now it looks like it's a sort of small to medium sized one there, but that's okay. So he's just sort of moving around, opening up a few bits and pieces, so I can see what's going on with that. Now I'm gonna drop down one here as well, just to get that going. Okay, now left ink is actually selling for a higher cost at the moment, so let's get that in place. We're going to upgrade this as well. So that one's emptied out. Okay, now let's get these going again. I tend to like to get these upgraded as soon as possible, and get as many as my wagons out so I don't have that issue with the spillage that I had in the last episode. It just makes life that little bit easier when you're dealing with trying to mine out different areas at a quick pace. It's nothing worse than spillage, because you're losing income as well as so we're going to dig this over here. You're losing income as well as having to pay a fine at the end of the round, and depending on how much spillage you do have, that fine can be quite expensive sometimes. Okay, so that looks like it's a fairly small one there, so we're actually going to upgrade that and pull it down to there. Now I'm going to drop a couple more moles just in these empty spaces, just so that it moves around. I'm going to drop down 2 more dowsers as well, just so that we can make sure nice and early that we can locate all of the possible oil and make sure that we don't miss anything. Now I've actually found one all the way over here, so I'm going to bring that all the way over there. And again, a lot of the pipe setups and layout that I have is going to look extremely messy, and it's purely because I don't have that branching upgrade yet, which is definitely going to be the next upgrade that I purchase, just so that I can avoid having to spend all this excess money on building these pipes and sort of searching around and trying to lay it out so that I can make the most efficient use of what's going on. So at the moment, unfortunately, I don't have the best setup, but that's right. We'll be able to go through and get this all squared away and sorted, and hopefully make a decent amount of income off of all this. Now, one thing to note is when you do have pipes set up, depending on what you've got set up, you'll notice these air pockets in the pipes itself. That just lets you know that your pipes aren't working as efficiently as they could be. So, for example, here the pipes are limited to level 2 width. Now, they're pulling up all the amount they can from here, but they're also trying to pull up some from here, so this actually, what this means is this is only getting half of it coming out of there and half coming out of there. Now you'll see that's just emptied out, so now it's pulling up half from this one here and half from here. So these are both of these are actually dropping at the same rate, and once that empties out, this will fill out as well, to be pulling out all of that at the same time. Now the other thing to note is the oil gets extracted at the rate of the lowest upgraded pipe. So this is level 1 pipe, this is level 2, so this is only pulling out at the rate that the level 1 pipe can pull out. So you really do want to try and upgrade all that kind of stuff as soon as possible, so that you can really avoid having that drop in efficiency, because there's nothing worse than trying to have all your pipe, like upgrading most of your pipes, and then everything's sort of set up for level 3, and then you realise that you've missed one, you've wasted your time, you don't get to mine all the oil out of the ground, ends up losing you out on money, and it's just a horrible waste. It's not a good situation to be in. That being said, talking about good situations, it looks like, from what I can tell, I've actually mined everything out, and we're still in November, and I've actually stopped selling everything as well. So what I'm going to do is withdraw early. Now this is going to give me 166 back off of the amount that I paid initially, which is not the huge deal there, but yes, we've done it. So what I've actually done here is I've withdrawn early, and I've got a bonus for all the oil depleted. It reckons that I didn't sell all the oil though, which is a little bit strange, because I did. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on there, because there should be a thing pop up to say that I've got an extra 1,000 for selling all the oil, but that's alright. I've actually made a profit of 28,000, which was a decent profit. That's sort of around the ballpark of what I was hoping for. Gives me 30,000, which is plenty to buy the land for the next round, as well as to do an upgrade. So we're going to go in and we're going to look at the final plots of land. Now this has been pretty solid so far. We haven't had anything below 30 or 31, so it's been a fairly decent profit. Some of these might drop down to say 28, 29, but that's alright. It's been a fairly solid run so far. I'm not too fussed. You know what? I could fight for this one here. I'm not sure if it's going to be worth doing that too much though. I mean, it's only going to cost me 1,000 more, and if I do that, he might select that anyway. You know what? Fuck it, we'll do it. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so no, look, that's right. I'm fairly pleased with that. So it's cost us 3 grand for that. So we'll come back to the saloon. Always check out the saloon, see what's going on. Now, I'm not too 60 cents. I mean, I wouldn't sell at that stage anyway. So I'm not going to spend the $1,000 on it, because I don't think that'll be worth it. What I might do though is just have a look at what my options are as far as upgrading. So I can buy the branching, which realistically I do need to try and save money off of what I've been spending on my pipes. So I'm going to buy that. Now the other thing that I'm going to do in this round is, because I don't have that guaranteed minimum price, because there's nothing in the saloon worth buying, I'm actually going to upgrade the size of my silos as well. So this is going to allow me to store more oil throughout the round, and make sure that I don't have any of the spillage issue. So I'm not going to buy, even though I do have 7,500 money left, I'm not going to buy either of these because it does cost me 2,000 to dig. So never forget that it's always going to cost you 2,000 to dig every round that you start a new season. Even when you are in the final area, there's 4 different areas. There's the forest, the desert, was it the forest, desert, the plains and the mountains, I think it is, or the mountains and the Iceland, or whatever those last 2 are. But in all 4 of those areas, it only ever costs you 2,000 to start a new season. But you want to make sure that you've always got that money there. Otherwise, you've got to come and get a loan, and it's just not going to work well for you. Oh, that's the other thing is you can come to the bank to check your report for how you went last year, and look at the different graphs to get all this information again as well. So, and again, this sort of gives you a breakdown on how much you spent on everything. So it's a good place to see where you might be able to cut some spending if you are spending too much, or exactly what's going on. For me, I tend to be happy with the sort of amount that I spend because I get the sort of profit that I do. So, okay, we're going to our last thing that we're going to do is check what everyone's upgrades are. So nobody else has bought any upgrades. You know, I'm well and truly ahead in the upgrade department. So we'll go through. We'll finish this season off. We'll draw the episode to an end, and we'll start the next episode in the new desert location, and that's when when diamonds and rocks and other bits and pieces will start to come into play, and the game gets a little bit more complex from that stage. But let's go through and power through this. So I'm just going to drop down 3 dowsers this time. Still do 4 moles. Just trying to be a little bit more money conscious to begin with, because I know that I'm probably going to have to buy a silo to store a bit of oil. So we've got some oil down there, we've got some oil over there. So this looks like it's going to be a fairly big one, which is exactly what I want to see to begin with. So now I've actually got it set up so that I can do some branching this time. So I'm gonna and there's Fred just reminding us that we can do exactly that. So now this is already up above 90, but I'm still gonna spend that little bit of extra cash just buying a silo. Now I can actually upgrade the silos for 100, which will just add about half the capacity on top of that. It just gives you a little bit more to work with, and gives you a little bit more space for storage as the game goes on. So we'll upgrade that, try and get as many of these wagons out producing money for us. Now you probably notice at this stage that I tend to play let's switch over to the right ink. Now I tend to play the majority of the game with my finger on the X button, speeding everything up. It's just how I like to play. I tend to be used to pretty fast-paced games. Sometimes it gets me into trouble, but it's just personal preference. It's from the old days of playing StarCraft on the fastest mode and setup. I just prefer the speed of the gameplay. Okay, but like I said, it does get me into trouble sometimes, like selling at 55 cents. So need to avoid that, but that's okay. Left ink's rising up towards $1, so we'll send that up. Now I'm gonna drop a couple of moles down to see what we can do as far as finding some more oil. So there's the oil from that one. So now, because I've got this branching, I don't need to set up a second rig at all. I can actually just drop that one down to there. So now I've already bought all of the herds. So I've actually got 25 wagons going at the moment. So that's put me in a pretty solid position. So we'll dig down to this second one. Now I'm just going to drop a whole bunch of moles down the bottom here. Drop down 3 more dowsers just to make sure there's none up here that I'm missing. So there's another one down in here, moles have uncovered. one down over here. So the moles are doing some fairly solid work for me finding oil at the moment. You know, good job that they do. So this guy's found some oil, so it's probably down in here somewhere. So hopefully one of the moles can find it. No, okay, that's alright. We'll drop a couple more down, and there's some oil around here somewhere as well. So we'll drop a few moles down there as well, just to check and see what's going on. So this one's already exhausted. So we'll so there we go. It's down there. So we're going to send pipeline down there and a pipeline down there. Now I'm not going to upgrade either of these, just so that we've got the efficiency of all of that sucking up oil properly. So we found that one there. Now we're going to draw that down to there as well. Gives a bit more to work with. Now I need to keep an eye on this one, just because it could rise up with its capacity. So this one's dropped out. So let's keep this going. Now I'm going to drop down 2 more dowsers. I dare say that they've probably found everything they're going to at that level, but it never hurts. You know, if I don't hear a whistle from them, they disappear, then I know that they've exhausted everything. So, and I keep forgetting to keep track of the fuel price. It can be very easy to do, but thankfully I spotted it while this was up at around $1.40 instead of down at 40 cents over here, because that would have been pretty tragic. So we'll upgrade all of these. So it doesn't look like there's any more oil floating about. Just sending down the last couple of moles. Now these dowsers are still walking around having a bit of a look, but I don't think that they're actually going to find anything else. But that's okay. And I'm really pumping out the oil at a decent price over here. Now this is on its way down and this is on its way up, so as they pass each other, and there we go, I'll swap over. So now it looks like this actually has quite a decent amount of oil in it. So okay, now it doesn't actually let me branch 3 out from there, because the rig itself counts as one connection. So just be aware of that. You know, in case you sort of look and go, oh, why can't I do, you know, have 3 pipes in the others but only 2 in that? It's because the oil rig itself would be a connection. So just something to keep an eye on. Now it doesn't look like I've found any other oil, but that's okay. I should be able to pump this out. Do I want to? That's all connected to the same. You know, look, it's pumping out fairly quickly. I'm not too fussed about the price at the moment, purely because I'm coming up to the last month, and I'd rather get it all out of the ground and sold than trying to hold on to it. So I've sold it all now. So I'm going to stop the level there. And yeah, it looks like we missed one. So close. Now, if I'd upgraded the dowsers, then they perhaps would have caught that. So this is probably at the stage that I'm going to do exactly that and upgrade them. But I still made a huge profit over everybody else. I'm pretty happy with that. So, and as the mayor says here, you know, our need for oil brings us to the desert. I'm going to stop the episode here, guys. We'll go through and we'll look at the sort of new bits and pieces as far as diamonds on the next episode. But I'm going to finish the episode here, tie it off, and we'll come back in episode 3 of Turmoil, have a look at everything, get it all set up and squared away, and continue the gameplay, and we'll be on to the next area in the desert. So until that stage though, I've been Matthew, and this has been Stop Drop Game. Peace out, guys.